Here are two mythological paintings by French artists from the year 1895. On the left is the Abduction of Psyche by William Adolphe Bouguereau, and on the right we see Jupiter and Semele by Gustave Moreau. Both were great artists, but the difference in style is striking. Bouguereau painted with great clarity and precision, while Moreau's work does not appear very polished and chaotic. It is as if one of them was painting with his brain and the other one was painting from his heart. Gustave Moreau was born in Paris in 1826 and was interested in becoming an artist from a young age. And while his father supported his choice, he wanted to ensure that Moreau also had a very solid classical education, learning about French and classical literature, and this knowledge would inspire many of his future works. He initially went down the traditional path to become an artist, being admitted to the prestigious École des Beaux-Arts, and that is where he began to craft his own path. After a couple of years, he would drop out and start to educate himself by visiting the Louvre. This work, entitled The Suitor, kind of sums up the rest of his career. It's a scene from the Odyssey, measuring some 4 by 4 meters, and he would start to work on this when he was 26 years old, and for the next 46 years of his life, he would continue to work on it, off and on, and by the time he died, it was not even completely finished. It's chaotic, complicated, and mysterious, terms that apply to many of his works. In the remainder of this video, you will see many other works by Moreau, and I would love to hear from you in the comments which of his works is your favorite. Gustave Moreau was a symbolist artist during a time when that movement did not even exist. Symbolism is a bit of a vague term to capture different types of art. It is mystical and spiritual, and it embraces our imagination and dreams. It is a very personal style that expresses some of the emotions of the artist, but it is also a bit obscure on purpose, allowing each individual to interpret the work in their own way. The first breakthrough for Moreau in this style is Oedipus and the Sphinx, for which he won a medal at the prestigious Paris Salon of 1864. It shows a mythological story of Oedipus running into the Sphinx, and he needs to answer a riddle to pass, or otherwise he would die. The riddle was, what walks on 4 feet in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and 3 at night? Oedipus was the first one to answer this correctly, saying, man. As an infant, he crawls on all 4s. As an adult, he walks on 2 legs, and, in old age, he uses a walking stick. What follows in the rest of his career are many other intriguing works inspired by history, the Bible, and most of all, mythology. The Apparition is a great example of the symbolism in his work. It shows Salome as a femme fatale with a black panther at her feet. She performs a provocative and erotic dance for her stepfather Herod Antipas, the ruler of Galilee. Her performance pleases the ruler a lot, and he has asked her to make any wish that she wants. Following the request of her mother, Salome requests the head of Saint John the Baptist on a plate, and this painting shows Salome's vision of John's head enclosed in a halo, radiating brightly in the center. As you can see, it is not a straightforward depiction of this story, but an emotional interpretation. And with regards to his style, he also made some unique choices. The surface of the painting is not smooth. Instead, he used a grattage technique where some of the paint is scraped off at the end to create an interesting surface which lacks focus and finishing. Moreau went through all the mythological writings to find the most spectacular and sometimes obscure stories, some of which you may be familiar with, like the story of Jason and Medea, or the one of Prometheus, where an eagle came every day to eat his liver. But many of his other works deal with much lesser known mythological stories, at least for me. What about the story of Diomedes devoured by his horses? Or the mythological creature Chimera? Or the mythological princess Deianira, the wife of Heracles, whose name translates into Man Destroyer? If you love mythology, just check out some of Moreau's paintings, which will introduce you to many intriguing stories. In 1891, at the age of 65, when many people today would want to retire, Moreau accepted a new job. He would become a professor at the prestigious École des Beaux-Arts in Paris. It was not that he really wanted this job. 3 years earlier he was elected into this art school, but he had refused to become a professor and teach any classes. But things changed when his close friend Jules-Élie Delaunay asked him on his deathbed to take over his position as a professor at the École des Beaux-Arts. He would become a colleague of, among others, William Adolphe Bouguereau, a very popular professor who attracted students from around the world. But as we saw in the beginning of this video, Moreau's style was not exactly in line with that of Bouguereau. In fact, his style was truly unique compared to all the other professors, and so was his approach to teaching. And despite his reservations to become a professor, he turned out to be very popular. Unlike other professors, he would invite his students regularly to his home. He even visited their homes at times. He would take them to the Louvre to study and copy old masterpieces. He did not impose his own style on them, but just provided a stimulating intellectual environment in which students could develop their own ideas. Not surprisingly, all students who were adventurous and had innovative ideas would be drawn to Moreau's classes. Perhaps the most famous among them was Henri Matisse. When Moreau was 27 years old, his father bought a house for the family where the top floor was dedicated to a studio for Gustave. He would live there for the rest of his life, and when he died, he left his house to the state on the condition that it would turn into a museum. And that museum, which you can see here, is still open to the public. And with his house, he also left some 1,200 paintings and 10,000 drawings which fill the walls of his house. The thing is that Moreau was a bit of a recluse who wanted to hold on to many of his own works and rarely exhibited his works. So if you want to see his work, this museum is the place to go. It's not the most famous museum with some 50,000 visitors per year, but it is the place to go to really absorb the work of this unique artist. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little overview of the art and life of Gustave Moreau, a unique person and artist whose works are easily recognizable. If you like this, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe and hit the notification bell to be alerted for future videos. Finally, I always love reading your thoughts about the artist and the video in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching.